when I drop the interview, I'll make sure to send you a complimentary pineapple pizza to thank you. And what's up, everybody? This is Timothy Rhyme, and welcome back to Grown Man Sessions, where we aim to empower and inspire one story at a time. I appreciate you taking the time to watch this interview, and I really hope you like it. If this is your first time tuning in, thank you very much. And if you can, please hit the subscribe button and hit the bell next to it so you're notified when we release new content. On this episode, I'll be talking to Ronald Jean. Ronald was abandoned at the age of 13, lived in 7 foster homes, and was continually told that he would amount to nothing. As he discovered the importance of academics and athletics as a way to thrive, he was then able to earn a scholarship to play football for Lehigh University. As of today, Ronald is now the CEO of his own company called Ronald Jean Strength, which is a SoCal-based fitness program where he combines valuable athletic experience with a passion for helping people. So without further ado, let's get this thing going. So my guest today is somebody that I've known for quite some time. I'm from Northern California. When I moved to Los Angeles, I knew very little people. I was rebuilding my life, it was like shortly after I had almost died. So like my whole mind frame, my spirit, like everything was just different. And so like along the way, I started meeting some really, really good people. And I'm lucky enough to have met this individual. He was the coach of my daughter's soccer team. But we've always stayed connected ever since. And that was like, good 6, 7, maybe 8 years ago, if not more, So I'm very honored to have Ronald Jean on as my guest today. What's up, Ronald? How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I was really close to canceling this episode, because, you don't eat pineapple pizza. And that's one of the requirements.
Yeah. There's no such thing.
It's one of the requirements to be on the show.
Pizza.
Yeah, man. So, but I felt like, we got to move forward. It'd be unprofessional of me to cancel at the last minute.
Yeah, whatever. You don't put fruit on a pizza. Who came up with that idea? That first
a genius.
Shot.
A grown man.
Right. Yeah, sure. The person was bored.
Well, yeah, so like I've known Ronald for quite some time, and just having experienced him coaching my daughter for one, and then just hanging out with him for two, and getting to know him and like hearing his story, like it's very inspirational. So before we get started, Coach, I was wondering if you could just kind of give us an idea like on your background, man, like where you were born, how it was like during your childhood, and like how you got your journey started.
It's funny you say that because my daughter, she's 14, and she know a little bit about my story. And the other day she was talking to her mom. Her mom reached out to me. Even though she had read the story, she didn't know the full detail of my life regarding my background. She just read about it.
Oh,
And
okay.
it's funny, I had the conversation with her the other day on Thursday or Friday, and that was my first time actually having it with her regarding my actual history.
Oh,
And
wow.
yeah, prior to that, I never really talked to her much about it because I didn't think she could understand. Compared to now, she understands regarding when I act a certain way, when I expect a certain way, when she feel that I'm putting pressure on her, and I
Mm-hmm.
explained to her where he came from and how he was different from me. Me learning how to parent, I'm parenting from my own experience. It wasn't so much that I had a positive experience in my life,
Right.
and I was pushing her in a way that even though the sky was falling all around me, but I had the mindset that I'm gonna do something, I'm gonna push, and I was able to push it. So with her, I tried to do that same approach. Then over time, I've learned to take a step back, and I even said that to her that I'm trying, that I'm not perfect, and that me pushing you was the way I pushed myself.
Mm-hmm.
And at the same time, I understand that your story is my story because I put you in this situation that we are in so you can succeed. So
Right.
that's good. We were able to schedule this call because that's a conversation I just had with her regarding my background, where I came from. Because my background, uh, born in the Bahamas. My father was like in his early 30s. I call them my birth givers, and my mom was 16. I think she
Oh
wanted to
wow.
have an abortion, but she didn't. Uh, she gave me up when I was 11 months old, and I
Mm.
was basically raised by family members. And my father would come in and out of the picture. He wasn't really there, so that was kind of the origin a little bit. Then I
What
think
about
in the
your
first
mom? Like,
30,
where was your mom
in
during
the
that time?
she was just out living life. She was just out
Mm.
living life, and I can say in the first 10 years of my life, I probably saw her maybe total like 8, 9 times probably.
Oh wow.
Uh, yeah, the father. Then yeah, then that time I went to live with my father. Then with him, he was abusive. It was abusive environment. I didn't stay there too long. Then went back to live with my mom, and it was an abusive environment. It was an abusive
Mm.
environment because you basically, I remember 5 people sleeping in like a very small room. I was sleeping in the floor. That's basically what it was. But even though where all those things can happen, I can say I had a love for playing sports. He wasn't organized sports. He was playing sports and doing well in school. That's kind of was my thing. Then moving to the U.S. at the age of 12, and it was abuse didn't necessarily get better over time. And I remember starting at the age of 10, whenever things would go wrong, and a way to escape the abuse, I basically would run away. Run away. I would live on the streets. You figure 10, 11-year-old kid just living on the street.
Oh
Because for
wow.
me at the time was anything other than the environment I was in was better.
Right.
Even though I was in the street, I was starving, I didn't have anything, and it was better than what I was facing at home.
Yeah.
So yeah, so long story short, we came to the U.S. 12. After a few months, she wanted to go to New York. I had all the relatives. I had a little sister at the time, and I didn't want to go. And that was around August of 1990, and that was the last time I've seen and heard from her.
Oh wow.
So 13 years old, and I remember the police came. They got me. They put me in group home. Did a lot of different search to try to find her, and I kind of withheld some of the information because I didn't want them to find her. I didn't want to find anybody. At the time, I withheld information regarding the actual name of my biological father. Even though he was not in the picture, he
Yeah.
was living in the Bahamas, I think. He was not in the picture, and my mom, I just kind of, my thing is, whatever it takes, I didn't want to go back there because I was constantly told that I wasn't going to be anything, that I was worthless, and
Oh
those
man.
things. Even though when you're 10, 11, or 12, we know as parents, kids gonna do things to defy us. That's just the way it is.
Mm-hmm.
But the way I was treated, based on when I did something wrong regarding getting hit with all type of things, being tied and for hours on end, and all those things really, for me at the time, was when I was able to finally get away, and that was it for me, and I did. And
And so
even though
that was in New York when
that
you
was in
last seen your
Florida,
oh that was in Florida when you
I was
last
in
saw your
Florida.
mom?
Yep. Yeah, I was in Florida. Yeah, that's the last time, and yeah, he spent over 31 years. 31 years.
Wow.
So 31
You
years.
haven't seen your
So
mom and your dad since that time?
I saw him briefly. It was in 1996. Uh, 6 years later, when he went to visit family friend in New York where I had reached out to the friend when I my freshman year in college, right before my freshman year, because I went there for the summer,
Mm.
and I went to New York because where I went to college, it was about an hour and a half from New York. So I went to New York, then I reached out, and my freshman year in college, when I was doing 2 days for camp, they were driving to Florida. They stopped by to see me, and when I did, I I was able to have a lot of restraint at the time because by then I was certain size and I was Australian wrestling, I was whatever, whatever. And
You
something
could have
that
done
crossed
some
my mind at
damage.
that time, oh yeah, it crossed my mind. I'm thinking, yeah, I'm not this helpless 11-year-old that you and your friend tied up and used to hit with all those things. I want to be like, ah! But I did not. I just kind of like,
Yeah.
well, I graduated high school, something you think I should, I was able to do. Now I'm at this college, which is one of the top 100 college in the country, and I did it you, without
Yeah.
you ever involved in it. So,
Wait, so let's go back a little bit because I read in your bio that you were in like 7 foster homes.
yeah, so it started then some of the foster homes where it was group homes. Then I was in foster home where I was one of 8 kids in the foster homes,
Hmm.
where some of these foster homes, because they get money from the states. I'm saying
Right.
somewhere I was able to find a good one, but they get money from the states because some of them they had 2 room with bunk beds, 2 set of bunk beds, where it was 4 kids in each room. So a lot of a lot of kids basically would come and goes, would be in and out of detention centers, would be a lot of things. And for me, I had some struggles at first. I had some struggles regarding adapting,
Hmm.
uh, getting making fun of, and regarding how your parents don't want you. That's why you're in this foster home. But they didn't bother me that way. But just from the other kids and all that. But yeah, I bounced around between my first 2 years, lived in 7 different foster homes. So, and I went to 4 different schools. Went to one school, one school, one school. Then finally, they was able to find me a good one that I was there for most of my high school year.
And is that when you started like getting involved in like sports and stuff, like on a more like serious level?
Yeah, yeah. Cause my first time, I remember first time playing sports was I didn't know much about American football because the area that I was in, I didn't know much about it. All I think I played before was soccer.
Mm.
Then I remember playing around the neighborhood. They tell me, okay, this the ball, you run, or you're gonna run, I'm gonna throw it to you, and you have to do this. Then it didn't make much sense to me. Then 8th grade year, uh, the home that I was staying in, this lady, she had her own son played football. He was a senior when I was in 8th grade, so I decided to go out. And at first, I didn't understand it much. I just know running back because then I played that season. Then after that, once I played, I started watching it. I started watching it, and it made sense to me. Then when I moved to a different foster homes, I moved to a boys' home because I wanted to get out the environment that I was in,
Hmm.
where I was the only person there going to actual school. Other kids, they had so much trouble where they've been kicked out of school. It was like I forgot what kind of home it is, but they could go to actual school. They had to go to school inside of the place. And I was the
Hmm.
only person taking the bus to go to school while I was living there. And I went out, played football, and then yeah, then played in high school, did football. After football, did wrestling. After wrestling, did track.
Oh man, so you must have been pretty good because then you ended up getting recruited, right?
Yeah, yeah. The thing is, I was good enough where that's why I tell people I received the $150,000 education for $3,000.
Oh my
So that's
god.
something I'm forever grateful for. Uh, yeah. So, yeah. So
So you ended
So
up
that
going
was,
to Lehigh University, right?
yep, went to Lehigh University from Lehigh, played 1 year in the CFL in Montreal, then went to a few camps, then went to camp with the Falcons. Then I had a lot of tryouts, but then after that, then I just decided to take some classes
Mm.
regarding want to get involved in doing like strength and conditioning coach or something like that. Then before you know it, I took enough classes. I got my master's. Then I moved out to LA, and I've been here since 2003. So
So, like looking back, like what do you think was the thing that drove you to like to just keep being like successful and just keep like on track and not letting your hardships or your challenges like deter you from anything that you wanted to achieve? Like what do you attribute that to?
I can say I'm very thankful. I'm very thankful in a way that whoever you once said regarding God, a guardian angel, somebody was looking over me
Hmm.
because I've got a chance to do a lot of public speaking, especially speaking to underprivileged kids, some of them that had the same similar path that I did.
Hmm.
They didn't have the inner strength and the drive to push past a certain point because at that age, uh, a lot of people feel the need to try to belong somewhere. Because I was in an environment where I was among 5 kids. All of them were smoking weed, and for me, I didn't do anything. You figure something I could have done just to be part of the group,
Hmm.
and I did it. And for me was that whatever it takes for me at the time was if I ever come across my birth givers to show them the success I've become, even though they've been told me for so long. It wasn't just them, it was just family members. Different people say, you're not going to be anything. And that pushed me, but that's me because a lot of people doesn't have that inner strength and drive because a lot of time you've been told you're not going to be anything, you're not going to be anything, or you're worthless. You start to believe in it. You say, you know what,
Yep.
I am worthless, there's no point
Yep.
of me trying.
Yep.
Because that's one thing that I saw when I got a chance to talk to kids. They say, you know what, my mom is, I said, my father's in jail, my mom is not really there, and I'm told I'm not going to be anything, so they just go with it. They say,
Yeah,
why
they believe
try?
it.
Yeah, they say, why try? I'm
Yeah.
going to fail anyway. Because for me, because what I did, even though there was 10 bad things going on around me, there was one good thing going on. I try to focus on that one good thing and build on it. It's the same principle that I use with my clients. Let's say when I'm doing nutrition coaching or whatever, the
Hmm.
person can say, I went out last night, I had a beer, I had fries, I had this, but I had a cup of water, did this. I'm like, okay, so you had a cup of water. That's awesome. Let's build on that. Okay, let's build on this, the good thing you just did, compared to always focus on negative things. So it was the
Yeah.
same thing for me, because for me, I know my seventh grade year, uh, I remember the first time I made the honor roll, and I didn't know much about the honor roll. And the teacher said, "Oh, you made the honor roll." And because I was doing the class I was in, he was English as a second language, coming from the
Hmm.
Bahamas, and
Yeah.
French was my first language. The English second language, I was in those classes, and they told me, "Oh, you made the honor roll." I'm like, "Okay." Then they had a lunch for all the kids that made the honor roll. A lot of the kids had their parents there. For me, I didn't care. But when I saw the praises I received for making the honor roll, even though I was from these foster home, they wasn't good. There wasn't A lot of them was in good environments. Some of them I got abused. Some of them I got physically abused, mentally abused. Some of them was bad. But when I was told when I made that first honor roll, and I saw the praises that I got from not just my teachers, my peers, and the whole school, then basically that this I told myself that, oh, I like this.
Hmm.
Let me find a way to keep getting it. So that
Yeah.
was when the first thing. That was the first thing for me, uh, first positive things that happened. Then once I start doing it consistently, I start getting praise from teacher regarding what I'm doing. Then I start being competitive with myself, saying, you know what, I need to keep getting. And if this person have 90, I want to beat that person. That was me. And it's the same thing that was able to get me with sports, because I remember when I first went out for football, the first semester of my eighth grade year, I didn't really study. I had under 2.0, and prior to that, I had A's and B's, and then I couldn't play football. Then I realized, oh, if you want to do something you love, you also have to do the extra work. And that right there, I always make sure that I'm always on top of it. And it's the same thing for me with football too. Even for sports, when I was getting those praises from people around me, that motivated me. Even though, like I said, situation wasn't good, but that pushed me.
So it sounds like you've been kind of coaching yourself for a really long time. Like it sounds like you've been kind of, guiding, yourself, like, for a while.
Yeah, I have, but you also come across some obstacles where, yes, you've been at time. I told myself that I've been in a tougher situation before I can come out of this. But some things, certain tactics doesn't make sense. It's good to, for me, one of the things I did, I remember when I went to divorce with my daughter's mom, I did therapy, which is not something I never did before. I was thinking,
Yeah.
but a lot of the underlying issues, things I was holding in, because whenever things was wrong, I was just shut down, don't talk to anybody about it. But I had to learn over time that you're part of a family. You have to do things, and it's not just about you anymore, and those things. So, a lot of the time when things happen to us, we go to our dark places and our corners and all
Yeah.
those things. And for me, my dark places was school and sports. Then when I got to a point where, okay, there's no school and sports, you have other things going on, how are you gonna handle this?
hmm
So
Yeah, I can see that. I feel very like I can relate to your story a lot, like in the sense that I had it pretty rough growing up, and like I always wanted to just prove people wrong. Like no matter my situation, like I was adopted by my aunt. My biological mom was paranoid schizophrenic, and my dad was never in the picture. Um, and like I had it rough growing up. I didn't bounce around like in group homes or anything or foster homes, but the house that I was living in wasn't the best, but like I just always had this idea ingrained in my mind that like I just wanted to prove people wrong. And it sounds like you proved a lot of people wrong.
oh yes. Yes, because the thing is, even when I was in foster care, because for me, one of the thing I remember, different counselors that was in these homes when I was in these group homes, when they saw what I was doing, they said to me, "You're different than the rest of the other kids. You have the opportunity to be successful," which is, those are things that's told to everybody. Whenever you're a kid, you whatever, everybody say you have potential.
Right.
It's your ability to follow through with it. Say, you know what? It's tough. It's tough because I remember, I know my senior year in college, I was featured at an article in Sports Illustrated and New York Times. They came out about the same day.
Oh wow.
And I remember I was working from class, and I was looking at it, tears came out of my eyes, and I said to a guy I was working with, and I said, if you told me when I was 13, keep your head up, million of people would be reading about your story and be inspired, I would have been, you're lying. And one of the things I've learned that, yes, the work is hard. You may not see the reward right away because a lot of time people wants that instant gratifications.
Yeah.
It's the same thing
Yeah.
with training. It's funny. It's the same thing my profession today, where people say, "Well, what's exercise? Give me one exercise I can do for my stomach." I'm like, There's no such thing. Or what's the best thing to eat? Or what's the best cardio out there? I'm like, there's no such thing. Or in all those things, it's willing to put on the work and see the result at the end. Because for me, seeing myself in Sports Illustrated and New York Times basically showed me, okay, that's the reason I was studying 20 hours to pass this class, or
Hmm.
that's the reason where I was getting up at 5:30 in the morning to go run, or even being in South Florida, that's the reason I was doing 2 a days, even though it's 90 degrees with 90% humidity, but that's the reason I was doing it. At first, you don't think about it,
Yeah.
but it's just at the time, you just, whenever you're looking back, say, okay, that's the reason I'm doing it. Even to this day, I continue to learn and grow, which is I'm always doing certification, I'm always doing things. Yes, they're tough, but when I'm done, I can say, oh, okay. So,
I can do it. Yeah. I'm reading a book right now called Atomic Habits, and like the very first chapter is all about like shifting your mindset, to what you just said. And they say that if you change small habits about your day, it doesn't have to be like anything big, but if you start making small changes and you stay consistent every day, it changes your trajectory to where like you know you're gonna see results if you stick with it, as opposed to like not doing anything and actually adopting bad behaviors or bad habits. Then you'll see
hmm
negative results a lot faster. So it's that whole idea, like you just said, about like you know I'm gonna do this exercise and I may not get in the shape that I want like tomorrow or even like a year from now or maybe even like 2 years from now. But if I keep doing it and I stay consistent with it, I'll definitely see some changes.
yes, no, exactly. It's the same thing with everything that we do, is
Hmm.
that you try, for example, let's say you decide you're gonna learn another language, and yes, it's gonna be painful, not just painful, but it's gonna be annoying. It's gonna be different things. You're gonna get frustrated,
Hmm.
but in the process, even though you may not learn it, but you're gonna take extra steps. After a while, you're gonna figure out different tidbits, different things to help you retain the information.
Hmm.
But then retain the information not only is gonna go with learning the language, you'll be able to apply to other things you're doing, other things you didn't think that could happen. You're gonna develop other habits and other things. You can say, oh, okay. It's not, yeah. A lot of time people focus about the destinations.
Hmm.
It's more about the journey itself. For example, let's say San Diego is the destination. Let's say I'm gonna drive to San Diego as a destination. But you, let's say you decide to drive south in the 405. There's traffic. Waze decide to take you that way. Then Waze bring you back. Then at the same time, you might see this restaurant. You stop here. Then at the end, you're thinking, oh, Melissa, guess what? I found a new path. And at the same time, I found some new restaurants that we may want to go to. Because you didn't focus on just the destination itself. You're focusing on how I'm gonna get there, the different steps you're gonna take, and at the same time, it help you develop or find other things going on.
Yeah, I like that, man. I like that because I'm a big believer in just being in the present and just like appreciating where you are in your journey. Because, like you said, a lot of people focus on the destination and don't really recognize that, like, maybe you're not at San Diego yet, but maybe you're in La Jolla, or not La Jolla, but maybe you're in like Newport Beach. Like
Yeah,
you're close to San Diego, and maybe you're not there yet, but you should like stop and appreciate that spot. You know what I mean?
exactly. Guess what? You made it to Newport Beach.
Exactly.
And
And then
who
you can
knows?
even
San Diego, yeah, San Diego may not. You know what? While you're in Newport Beach, you say, you know what? I don't really care about going to San Diego anymore.
I like it here.
So
Like like this feels good.
yeah, exactly. Because what you think you were searching, it wasn't the actual thing that was right for you.
Right.
So
Oh, that's big time my story, man. Like I never thought that I'd be a CPA, and working where I'm working like ever. I always thought that, like you said, man, like I had this belief that I wasn't going to amount to much. I really didn't know if I was going to make it past my 21st birthday, the life that I was living before. So after my 21st birthday, I was like, what am I going to do now? You know, like I didn't have any kind of plans. I didn't have any kind of idea of what I should be doing with my life. But one thing that I always believe in is just education, and just always falling back on just learning more and continuing to, like, you know, educate yourself.
I agree. I agree. The one thing education does, it's allowing you to open your mind to
Hmm.
different possibility, your willingness to learn and grow.
Yep.
That's the thing. Even though you can learn something as basic, you can learn something as basic as washing your shoes. Let's say you never washed your shoes before. You say, you know what? I'm gonna learn how to wash these shoes. Guess what? You just learned something.
Yeah.
So, so yeah.
I mean, aside from education and like kind of you know, having that desire to learn, uh, what do you think is like the biggest lesson you've learned like along your journey?
Uh, is that things gonna happen? Things gonna happen. Things are not going to your are not always going to go your way. They're not.
Mm.
It's gonna happen. You're gonna fail. For example, it's me when I was getting ready for the certification. Uh, Before I remember I was at the certification. One of the things to do you have to do is to do 100 snatches with the kettlebell. At number 97, slipped out of my hand and
Ah.
disqualified.
Ah.
And then then the following week I went to do it for the teacher online. At number 80, she said, "Oh, you had three missed count. It doesn't count." I was like, "Really?" Then later that day I practiced. Later that day I practiced at number 85. It, it just flipped out of my head. I just saw it happen. I'm like,
Oh.
oh. Then then the following week I did it for her. I did 100. Then she said, when you watch the video, she said, well, you need to practice your technique. Those are things you're doing wrong. You need to do it. And it took me 3 weeks to be able to get, I did over 700 snatches. Then
Oh
by
my
the third
gosh.
week, I practiced. My hand was like getting bad, but I was able to pass. And I was able to pass, which is, I could easily have said, F this. I'm
Yeah.
like, I don't care no more. Is that, yes, you're gonna fall, you're gonna fail, you're gonna fall down. It's just like anything else I've learned. Whatever it is, you're gonna fall down.
Yeah.
But whenever you fall down, you're always gonna learn a lesson. That's why Thomas Edison, one of the things I've heard with Thomas Edison, how does it feel to fail 3 times with the light bulbs? He said, I learned 3,000 times how not to make a light bulb.
Yeah.
So that's something I kind of go by, that in my journey, that things not always gonna go your way. There's gonna be heartaches. There's gonna be heartaches, just like anything that we do in life. There's gonna be heartaches. There's gonna be struggles. The thing is that it's a struggle, but if you keep at it, you don't know. Hey, you may not get to the final destination, but you're gonna achieve a lot on the way. That's one thing for me. That's one thing I've been trying to live by for a long time now, even since I was 10 years old, just 10,
Mhm.
11, 12, when the world was collapsing around me, when I was getting beaten, when all these things was happening. I'm saying, you know what, I know if I go outside and I play soccer, I'm going to get some joy. Let me look forward to the happy things that's happening compared to looking on the negative things.
Yeah. Focusing on the negative. Yeah, I like that. It's like an old, I think, Asian proverb where they say like, get fall down 6 times, get up seven.
I
You know,
never heard that one, but yeah, yeah,
it's like it's something pretty basic as far as like, you know, if you fail a certain amount of times, it's the art of just being able to get back up and just keep going. You know.
yeah, yeah. You getting up, I guarantee you, every time you get up, you're going to learn a different way to get up.
Yep.
Yeah, and yeah, so that's one thing I can say that kept me going, because we all have our struggles. We all go to struggles. My struggles doesn't exceed somebody else's struggle. Yeah, we all have our own set of of struggles. It's not making excuses. It's acknowledging things happen, and you decide to take ownership of it. Because that's one thing for me. I could easily have blamed my birth givers regarding what they did to me as a child, or some of the
Yeah.
foster homes, one thing I never blame anyone. That was just me. And also, I don't have the same expectation from other people. My thing is that just because I did it, I don't think it's not right for me to expect you to do it.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, man. I think that idea of you know, just not internalizing it, I guess, because a lot of people that go through difficulties, they internalize it and become like kind of victims to their circumstances. And I think
yes.
once you become a victim to your circumstance, you lose all of your power. Like you end up, not really controlling the situation. It's like you're just letting the circumstances like dictate how, you're gonna deal with these things.
Yep, I agree. I agree. Yeah,
Well,
those are one of the things. That's the same thing I say to people because as human being, the way we are, let's say we had $100. Let's say we won $100. While we had $100, we lost $50. Compared to focusing, you know what? I got $50. People say, I just lost 50. Oh, I'm like, okay, it's the thing, really. Just focus on. My thing is just let's just try to find one thing and just build on it.
yeah,
One
I
thing
feel
I
like
teach
it's
people is having little victories.
yeah, for sure. I feel like that's like it's so important to like really understand like that mindset, and learning how to like adapt it, adopt it, and like put it into play in your life. You know what I'm saying? Because even myself, like I have difficulty sometimes, like really maximizing my, all of my opportunities because sometimes I get in my own way. Like I'll have thoughts that I'm like, after a while I'm like, okay, that's not helpful. But it's just a mindset, and
Yep.
it's so powerful. It's so powerful.
Yeah. No, the thing is, we all do it. We all do it. This times for me, I remember when I was getting ready for the snatch test, and it's funny, I'm never really nervous, and I was nervous. And after it took me a few times, I'm like, I'm nervous. I'm nervous. When after I got to a point after a while, I'm saying, you know what? I've done this 1,000 times. Let me just do it, because it's very easy to get on our way compared to, you know what? I'm thinking, you know what? Let me just focus on my first 10. Let me just do good 10. 10 is good. Now let me go to the next 10, the next 10, the next 10. So,
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I still get nervous doing these interviews, man. Like I gotta do a little
yes.
pep talk to myself beforehand because I'm like, oh man, I just want it to go good.
No, it's great. It's great. I'm glad that I bothered you long enough to be part of it because I have to keep texting you. When I'm gonna do this?
Me too, man. I'm grateful too, man. I appreciate it. Coach Ronald, can you tell people where they can find out more about you? Like if they want to like get in touch with you or check out some of the stuff that you're into.
Yeah, because I have my website. My website is ronaldjean.com.
Mm-hmm.
On my website, right now, I'm more of a health coach. It's not. I'm more than personal trainers because not only I do the personal training aspect to nutrition coaching, and also the motivational interviewing, the mindset, behavioral changes. Because a lot of the
Mm-hmm.
time, things always starts with creating habits and behavior change before you can accomplish anything is the first you have to change the behavior.
Mm-hmm.
It's learning the behavior is not so much there's a right and wrong behavior, a behavior that is applicable to you, help you
Right.
discover that kind of behavior. Because a lot of the time a person might say to me, I'm gonna start cooking, I'm gonna lose weight, I'm gonna do this, but you're working this amount of hours, this. So that behavior you want to do is not appropriate for you, for your lifestyle. So let's help pick a behavior that's gonna work for you, that's gonna help you get to where you need to go.
That's
So,
awesome.
so yeah,
So it's ronaldjean.com.
yeah, ronaldjean.com.
Okay.
Yeah, they can
And
say it's my
I'll
website, and you can also reach out to me personally from there too.
Cool. I'll also include it in the description below so that if people want to check it out, like you can just click the link below. But man, thank you so much for sharing your story, man. It's very powerful. It's very inspiring to hear where you came from, and like me personally, to see like all these things that you've accomplished, man, and continue to accomplish is like it's always been inspiring, man. So I appreciate you sharing that with me and with the audience. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, definitely, man. I always end the interview by saying that one person can change the world, but it's one person at a time, and that one person is you. If you guys have gotten anything out of this interview, please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and leave a comment below. And just stay tuned for more content because we're just going to keep building. All right. Much love. Thank you, Ronald, and we'll talk to you later. Peace out, you guys.
All right. Thank you.